especially with the comedians I've noticed, I think Schulz, and Schulz is one of the first people actually when I was introduced to you, because you went on Flagrant 2.
Yes.
And that's more of like the US scene, is like he's also another one of those comics that during COVID, I think he took it to another level.
Well, yeah,
and he was good before, and I was a huge fan before, but I think now he also did a few different little segments and whatnot. But it's like, I think it's so interesting how some of these comedians, and I think creators in general, like they use that time to take things to another level, and I think you're a good example of it as well.
Yeah, so Schulz knows this. We've become friends over the past couple of years, but he's a huge inspiration to me and a lot of other
100%.
comedians around the world. Like what he's done with a failing comedy industry who were refusing to acknowledge the most creative talent in the world.
Right.
He's just knocked every door down.
100%.
And what he's done with his podcast, with his social media work, with his YouTube work, and eventually putting it on Netflix. He gives it away to other comics. And we're trying to mimic that. We have a word. So we decided very early on that every inch of success we have as a podcast, and we're trying to grow it into a big network, we were going to share it with the comedians we love. Like if we like a comic and they are going on tour, they've got a book out, they've got a special out, we will get them on, they'll promote it, we'll share everything they post about it.
Right.
That comes from his attitude.
Yeah.
I said very early on, so there's a famous UK comedian who I won't name just because I don't want to get in trouble, but everyone thinks he's a dick. And any British comic listening to this right now knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like, immediately. And everyone who worked with him was like, oh, he's an arsehole. One of the most talented comedians of his generation, possibly of all time, but he's an arsehole. Schulz, no one talks about him that way. Anyone who knows him.
100%.
So I said very early on to Dan, I was like, I want people to talk about us the way I talk about Andrew, not the way people talk about X, right? And that is a very deliberate thing because there's up until a couple of years ago in the comedy industry, and I imagine this is the same in a lot of other industries, everyone is competing for the same job, right? So let's say in the UK we have these panel shows and there's 6 comedians and a host. That means there is 6 jobs available, and 2 of them are normally team captains. Yeah. So it's actually only 4 jobs available. So there's 4 spots every week on an 8-week series, right?
Yeah.
So there's 32 spots available, and there's 500 comedians. So there's this like famine mentality of not supporting each other because we're all competing for the same food. Once you take that out of the way, and it's not everyone competing for the same job, and there's no gatekeepers, and we're all just making our own stuff, there is an unlimited amount of fans out there. Yeah. Like, someone can be a fan of 25 comedians, and they'll go and see every single one of them on tour. So that famine mentality is gone. It's completely disintegrated. Because if we're making our own stuff, and I can get you on my podcast, and you can get me on yours, and you can share my special, and I can share yours, we're all going to share each other's fans. And there's nothing in the way of any of us selling the tickets and earning the living and the following that we've all been working for. And there's no one who went to the same 3 colleges in this country deciding who gets to be famous anymore. Yeah. It's all on comedians. Are you working hard? Are you creating your own stuff? And are you sharing that success with the people you like and respect?
I think 100%. 100%. And I'm not even in the comedy world, and I can see that. But I think even deeper. So I think, first of all, that's good on the mentality side. But I think what's also very interesting is, if just going back to Schulz, is how I think that, like, when we look back in 50 or 100 years on the self-marketing aspect of anything, I think that he, in my opinion, is the contemporary godfather of how to do it on your own. And I think, like, and what he showed, I think, especially during COVID, was just putting a 30-second clip of your work, recording, if it's a comedian, your own special, and putting it out yourself. Like, I think he's just a master at that, and saying basically fuck you to the big corporations, which also was then an even bigger fuck you, I think, when Netflix was probably begging him, and I hope he got a fat check for that. But I think, like, it's such a beautiful thing too, because him as a person, I think, is just a brilliant human being from the people that we have mutually in contact. But I think it's also good because like his actions then reflect on people like you, and you're going to do the same, and you're going to help that small comedian that you think is really deserves that limelight. And I think that's the kind of snowball effect that the world needs.
Yeah, and it's quite funny because I've been doing comedy nearly 12 years, and I've always been very self-promotion minded. So from early on, I would share every gig I was doing. I'm gigging here, and here this week. If you want to come and see me, come and see me. And there was almost like a sneer from the rest of the comedy industry at a similar level.
Oh, really?
They were like, why are you telling everyone you're gigging in Derby? Who's going to see you in Derby? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? And now those same people want advice on how to do it. It's always been so strange to me, the concept of self-promotion is like a vanity thing. Like, it's like, imagine a group of plumbers laughing at a plumber because he's advertising his plumbing business.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the exact same thing.
Well, you're also not like, hey, I'm Adam Rowe, I'm the best comedian in the world.
No, I am.
But people that know you or listen to you know that you're a humble individual. Like, you're doing this is your work, this is your job. You know what I mean?
And you just want people to come and see it, so you get better at doing it,
Exactly.
and you get better and better and better. I've never understood this idea that self-promotion is this negative thing.
Right.
We should all be doing it.
Right.
It's insane to me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Instagram at felix.levine, and if you have something to say, please leave a comment.